Okay, friends, real talk. Summer is right around the corner, and so is the pressure to lose weight or get fit or get your summer body for summer 2025. And if you're over 30 trying to lose weight, that can feel like a full time job because one week it's let's eat low carb, and the next week it's, lift heavy and eat protein. And it can be really confusing to try to navigate what actually works and what's actually helpful and what's not. And as someone who can speak from personal experience, after I lost over 40 pounds naturally and in a healthy way, I want to add, in my 30s, I realized that I was way overcomplicating weight loss, and I want to help you not overcomplicate. I really want to simplify this process for you because I figured out what actually matters, and most of what you read and hear and see don't matter. So, let's discuss some of the myths and misconceptions that I believed for such a long time that really kept me stuck because I imagine because they're still very much out there, on the internet. The first one is the idea that an intense workout is necessarily the best or most effective in terms of, losing weight or building fat. And the reality is that what you're doing in the gym, if you're trying to tone or lean or sculpt or whatever buzzword they're using on the internet right now, if you're hoping to do that, the goal in that is to build muscle. And the best way to do that is by using movements that are going to target the different muscles in your body. And while there's nothing wrong necessarily with some of the Instagram workouts you see where they're doing a bunch of like compound movements and squat to presses, or maybe you look like you're in Cirque du Soleil, like those are fine, but you're probably not going to get to the goal of like toned or slimmed by doing it that way for the long term because you're ultimately infusing more cardio than necessary, which depletes your energy sources from actually building the muscle that you want to build. And the reason we look slim and toned is because we have lower body fat with more muscle. But if that is your goal, then your goal at the gym needs to be to prioritize building the muscle, not just burning the calories. Because ultimately, that's only about 10% of the calories that you're going to burn in your day. Your BMR is what matters most in terms of your calories in a day. And having higher muscle mass is going to mean that your BMR or your basal metabolic rate, that's just the rate your body burns calories at rest, that's going to be what matters. And that's what you're doing in the gym when you're building muscle. Hey guys, if you're finding this video useful or helpful in some way, could you do me a huge favor and give this video a thumbs up? It lets YouTube know that this is useful or helpful content so that it can share it out to other people who have the same goals that we do. Thank you so much if you took the time to do that. I really appreciate. Number two is that there is an absolute perfect diet plan out there that's going to help you lose weight or get fit or toned or whatever the case may be. And I can tell you, speaking from personal experience, having tried 100 different quote unquote diet plans, that there's no one right answer for every single person. Your health and diet plan and how you eat is very much impacted by your lifestyle and what's sustainable and functional for you. And so I feel like oftentimes people get stuck on like, well, I've got to be, I don't know, keto. I'm just making something up. I'm not picking on keto. But like, they're like, oh, I got to be keto because Susie lost 30 pounds being keto. And then they try keto and it feels too restrictive for them. And they're like, oh, well, it just must not be right for me to lose weight. Because I was definitely one of those people that would try other people's like diets or whatever. And then when I didn't lose weight like Susie did or Jane did, then I get mad and I just quit. So, I've learned that you don't have to complicate your diet. There's no one size fits all diet. It's very much personal dependent. And there are some things that you can do to specify and simplify your diet to not make it hard for you. And myth number three that honestly gets me pretty heated and pretty bothered is the idea that like your metabolism is busted after 30, or that you can't lose weight because you have PCOS, or you can't lose weight because of your hormones, blah, 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 blah. That ticks me off to no end that people are using that to sell programs because that's exactly what they're doing. They're using those sort of like taglines or challenges for people to try to sell you a specific program. Like, petite people, for example. I don't make 5 feet tall, okay? I promise you, I didn't do anything differently than anybody else who is over 5 feet tall. You don't need a petite specific diet plan. You don't need a petite specific workout program. You don't. You just have to do it based on your genetics, your body type. For me, that means, I need less calories to function because I'm not as tall. That's really it. I'm in a heck of a lot better shape now at 36 than I was at 25. I will try to pop a picture of 25-year-old Alexandria versus now. I guarantee you, I am in significantly better shape. My metabolism is not busted, and neither is yours. Now, I'm not saying that it isn't necessarily harder or there maybe aren't challenges if you have certain conditions like PCOS or things like that. I'm not saying that that's not true. There are certain health conditions that certainly make it more difficult to lose weight. But what I'm saying is it's not impossible. And if you believe that it's impossible, then you've already lost the race. Because if you're like, oh, well, I can't because of something that's completely outside of your control, which your metabolism for the most part and your genetics are pretty much out of your control. So if you're going to allow what you cannot control to dictate your future and to dictate what you will and won't do, then you've kind of already lost the battle. So let's talk about actually what really matters. What matters most in all of this, and what are the things that you can actually control to simplify your weight loss? And the first one is you can control your consistency. Your consistency in whatever it is that you're doing matters the most. Your consistency in eating in a calorie deficit, in eating whole foods, in exercising. Your consistency matters far more than the logistics of whatever it is you're doing. And I know that that can feel really frustrating and confusing for some people because I think it's like, okay, well, just tell me what to do. And the thing is that anybody who can just say to you, like, these are the only things that work, that's closed minded to me. Like, there are options. Everybody's got options. I'm telling you what has worked for me personally, but just because that worked for me doesn't mean you can't tweak it and still get some good results. So, for example, the thing that worked for me was consistently working out 5 days per week. 4 of those days were strength training for me, alternating upper body, lower body, and full body. And then 1 day of HIIT cardio. That's primarily the workout program I use to lose weight. But if you're somebody who's like, I can't commit to 5 days a week, that's okay. If you can commit to 2 or 3 days a week, that is enough to consistently see the results. And your consistency over time of doing any of that movement, that's something you'll sustain, serves you far better than getting nitpicky about how many days of the week you're working out. Because people will do this thing where they're like, I'm going all in and I'm going to work out 5 days a week. I know because I've done this. It was like, well, I'll work out 5 days a week and then I wear myself out. I don't have the stamina to sustain it. And so then I end up falling off the like, the imaginary wagon, right? And then I don't work out for like 4 weeks. Whereas if I'd have just said, okay, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to lift and I'm going to do lower body splits. I'm going to do full body splits on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I had done that for a while, then I'd probably add a third day. And that's actually what's going to keep you going and actually getting to the goals and the weight loss that you want to see. The other thing that really matters to simplify your weight loss is the kind of nutrients that you're putting in your body. And that protein is going to help you build muscle. Prioritizing protein, and if you're not new around here, you're probably tired of hearing me talk about this, and I'm really sorry. But that's the reality is prioritizing protein in your diet and prioritizing whole foods matters more than, again, what kind of diet you choose. If you are if you are looking to feel good and lose weight, the more whole foods that you can prioritize and the closer you can get to a protein goal of about 100 grams plus per day, depending on your body size. I go over this a lot, but when you're looking at protein, you want to think about what's your sort of optimal weight of sorts. So if your optimal weight is 130 pounds, then you would say, I want to try to get as close to 130 grams of protein a day as I can. That's going to help you stay full for longer because the other thing that means the most of all of this, especially from a weight loss standpoint, is that you are in a calorie deficit. And I know people don't like to hear that, but that's just it. Like the simplest way to lose weight is to be in a calorie deficit. It's in fact the only scientific way to lose weight. And how you choose to do that may look different depending on who you are and, what your sort of goals are, right? And the reason I say that is because for some people to be in a calorie deficit, that means they like something like a keto plan, or they might like, carnivore as their plan. My point is, though, is that whatever's going to be your calorie deficit, what works for you that's sustainable for the long term in terms of your diet is what's going to help you to meet your goals. So for me, the thing that has worked for me when I am in a calorie deficit is to track my calories, because again, I don't find calories triggering anymore. I don't find the idea of stepping on the scale triggering anymore, because I stepped on the scale every single day for, months to remind myself that it was just a number. It's not a judgment, it's just a number. And so for me, that is what has worked for me. When I am in a calorie budget, I track my calories. I use my Fitness Pal because I'm cheap and it's free, but there are plenty of other apps that you could do this. And as I'm looking at my calorie budget, I prioritize my protein. Like I've said, I try to get between 100 and 120 grams of protein in a day. Sometimes I will supplement with a protein shake. I'll typically have like at least a protein shake a day to get to my protein goals, but you certainly don't have to do that. And then piece two of it is that I prioritize whole foods over processed foods whenever possible. And that's literally it from a nutrition standpoint. Those are the things I'm focused on, and those are the things that I'm worrying about. I promise. It is quite literally that simple. The rest is very nuanced and based on personal preference, and there's no wrong way to do it. There are certainly things that will help or make it better or worse. I've talked about some calorie deficit hacks in the past that have like helped me sustain my deficit. I'll link that. But there's no wrong way to do it. And I think people like to tell you there is, so they can tell you their program. But there isn't a wrong way to do this. Lastly, the thing that matters most is your mindset more than your genetics. Your mindset around how you're going to live your life, your mindset around the type of person that you're becoming, the type of person that you are, matter more than your genetics. Because if you've decided you can do something, then you absolutely can do it, because you're not going to allow obstacles in your way to keep you from getting to that goal. You're just going to keep the course. But if your mindset around something is, I can't do it because X, as long as X exists, whatever X is because I have some sort of genetic thing that I can't control. As long as X, whatever X is standing in your way, you're exactly right. You will not get to your goal. And I hate to say that, but I think that was my issue. Is I was convinced that I was too busy, or that I couldn't do it because, I was getting older or whatever. Like I was always convinced that there was something outside of my control, and that's the reason that all these other women were fit and I wasn't. And it wasn't until I got out of my own head and realize that like I can be a fit and healthy person, and I'm just going to go and like give it my best. Like I'm tired of feeling like garbage. I'm going to go just like give it my best, and whatever my best is where it's going to be. And once I finally let my mindset be that, like I am a warrior mindset, that's when I was able to reach my goals. And until then, the rest of it didn't matter, because as long as I believed I couldn't, I couldn't. So the things that matter most: consistency, mindset, prioritizing protein, and living in a calorie deficit. Those are the things that really, truly matter for weight loss. The rest of it is just noise. So, if this video was helpful for you today, I would love if you would subscribe and let me be your non judgy mom friend who comes alongside you to help you reach your goals. Until next time, bye, friends.